make a move and the bunny gets it.
I said, put the bunny back in the box. Why couldn't you put the bunny back in the box?
It's showtime.
Roar. Roar.
Colonel Ironsides here. 200 years I stood in the gap, fighting those who would harm my country. It was my honor, my sacred duty, so help me God. 9 times they took my life. 9 times I stood back up and made them pay. The freedom fighter I could handle anything, but someone betrayed me. I was ambushed, made mortal, rendered powerless, and retired. They passed an amendment that made me a civilian before I left the hospital. For 50 years I watched my country change. Lost its work while erasing me from history. The day I quit my job, I powered up and discovered they lied about that too. I'll remind them of freedom. I'll remind them of duty. I'll remind them of their oaths and who they serve. I'll remind them while I'm shoving it down their throats.
Psychically, I'm very well endowed.
I wanna know what you're thinking. There are some things you can't hide. I wanna know what you're feeling. Tell me what's on your mind.
Hey there, this is Cooper from Telepathic Bunny Comics. Got StreamYards kind of screwing up on me a little bit. Sorry for that delay. Anyway, welcome to the Rabbit Hole. This is Monday, the Monday call-in show where the chat is part of the show. Of course, I haven't had very many chat denizens the last few shows, so, maybe somebody will comment or not. I don't know. Anyway, today's subject is part of my ongoing kind of like emphasis on the culture. And today we're going to talk about how Disney World is in deep shit. Okay. But before that, I want to do a review. And this is for my friends over there, Arrow Comics. This is the Atlantean. It's kind of a digest size. It's got kind of a Frazetta style cover on it. That's pretty cool, right? Got the lady with the boobies on the front. It's black and white. It's comics book black belt, Russ Leach. Written by Randy Zimmerman, based on Robert E. Howard's Cole the Conqueror series. It's got really good action in it. It's very old school, kind of like throwback to the Phantom comics, the comic strip. But it's still got panel by panel storytelling. Now, the previous one, the one that I got, which was the Shadow Kingdom, Call the Conqueror, the Shadow Kingdom, which is the prequel to this one. I liked it better than this one. This one right here, I just the story felt ephemeral. It felt like a throwaway, but it did set up another the next chapter, which looked like it was going to be, a return to form. This just felt like a time saver or a time, fill in issue. I had like a very closed arc, and it was more of a mystery than it was supernatural sword and sorcery. But I liked it. I enjoyed it. I would suggest it, and if you like sword and sorcery, it is definitely a good example of that genre. It's got a Hatch comic in the back from our friend Glenn Fleming. It's got Randy Zimmerman, kind of a letter. He's a great writer, and he's got some really good thoughts about Robert E. Howard and sword and sorcery in general. But anyway, so he's blaming this on Russ Leach, the artist. He was so inspired by him that he wanted to continue. But Shadow Kingdom, I believe, is available on arrow.com, and so is that one. And they're about to do a crowdfund on the Atlantean 2, which I think is probably going to be probably more of a comic that that sword and sorcery thing. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that first book a lot. But I'm gonna have to give it. Okay, lately I've been giving out a lot of 4s, and it's because I haven't really gotten completed stories here lately. Most of what I've gotten has been kind of like smaller bites of story than a whole entire story arc. That was kind of a story arc, but it didn't really continue the larger narrative of Call the Conqueror, which is serpent people that he's trying to weed out. But it's still a very good book to read, very enjoyable. 4 is still a high recommend, 4 out of 6. Still a high recommend, so I would pick it up if I were you. Anyway, so let's get back to the subject at hand. Why Disney World, Disney in general, is in deep shit. Okay, now, I was trying to get a clip of a show that Clownfish TV had this morning. They used to be pixie dusters. They used to go like every quarter to Disney World. They used to have like they used to be journalists with access, and so they've had an eyeball view of everything that's happened to Disney in the last 7 years. They've been sounding an alarm that that Disney was going off the rails. Okay, yeah, their show this morning was called it was calling the movie land part of Disney has now become a junk drawer. It used to be focused. It used to have IPs. It used to have personality. It used to have these cool rides, and it used to have like distinctive properties. And now it's become kind of a dumping ground for whatever Bob Iger has acquired, and didn't seem to be a central focus. It doesn't seem to be anybody awake at the wheel. The engineering has gone downhill. The design is going downhill, and because a few years ago, around 2016, after the election, Bob Iger, announced that Disney was going to start getting involved in politics, and around 2016. Okay. Let's see. Looks like I got one comment over here. Probably Wookie saying hello. Ahoy, buddy. That means nothing. He's just going to say hello and then go away. But anyway, no big deal. Thank you, Wookie, for just dropping by. Hold on a second. Disney is in the outhouse pit. Okay. All right. Anyway, one of the things that they made a commitment to was that they basically made a commitment to something called DEI, which is diversity, equity, inclusion. Now, you're hearing that word a lot these days, as President Trump has signed an executive order ending it within the federal government. But companies are starting to ditch it all across the board, and the reason why. And hear me now. When you have meritocracy, with merit-based hiring, merit-based advancement, merit-based emphasis, which Disney has always been. Disney has always been the tip top of design, of imagination, and they even invented a term called Imagineers. Didn't happen, or it didn't occur in the English language before Disney. It was put there by Disney, Imagineers, because Walt Disney wanted people who were not only engineers but people with imagination, who wanted to create and wanted to build a world, and for the most part, that's what they did. They created waterways. They created like top of the line, things to enjoy. Space Mountain was like the third highest pinnacle in Florida at one point. This is years and years ago, but basically, a lot of these rides lasted for generations, like Splash Mountain, which was based on Song of the South. Okay, but with the political emphasis, they started like showing shame for their history. Walt started being removed from everything. And they started like bad mouthing him when they mentioned him, as being an anti-Semite. Basically because he went against what is that called? He went against the communists that were taking over the unions at that point. He was fighting against them on behalf of his artists who were being forced into this union, and because the union leaders happened to be of Jewish descent, he got a reputation as being an anti-Semite for fighting against it. Pretty much the same smear tactics they're still using today. And so they've been smearing Walt steadily as a white supremacist, the anti-Semite, and all this other stuff. And because of that, they've used that wrap-up smear to excuse changing everything, rebranding everything, and but they're hiring behind the scenes. What DEI has done behind the scenes is anybody white and male, no matter their ability, no matter their years with the company, no matter their accomplishments, were sent out the door, or they were demoted. I'm seeing this in my own company. It's very disheartening when this happens to you. And so what happened was these men, they took these payouts and they left the company. Well, the reason why Eisner built this movie studio within Disney was because across Orlando, another company was planting a theme park called Universal Studios. Okay. So Eisner, seeing that, decided that they needed something of their own to combat that. And he jumped the gun. He was there a couple years before Universal Studios even opened. So what's happened, though, with the drain of meritocracy going away from Disney and them hiring based on, arbitrary characteristics rather than competency. And I'm not saying that people of color, people with different sexual persuasions or proclivities can't be good at their job. I'm not saying that. But if that's what you're hiring on, then you're basically not getting the best that you could possibly get. And if you do this company wide, then what's going to happen is then you're just basically going to check a box rather than deal with a human. And it's all communism. It's all Marxist ideology, which means the collective's more important than individual. But when you're dealing with meritocracy, it doesn't get more individual than that. Okay? And so Marxism is anti-meritocracy because meritocracy means is not equal. It doesn't mean equal outcomes, which is what equity, Marxist equity means, equal outcome. Because if you have equality, that means equal opportunity. And that means no matter what your sexual proclivity is, no matter what your skin color, no matter what your sex or whatever you want to call yourself, you can call yourself a turnip. Doesn't matter. If you can do the job, you get hired and you get promoted. And when you do that, when you hire on equal opportunity rather than equal outcome, you wind up with the best of the best. And this group of Imagineers that Disney had at one point was the best of the best. But because of this political bent, Disney whittled it down. And now they've rebranded Splash Mountain to Tiana's Bayou Adventure. And it runs maybe once a week, maybe. And it's been shut down for months at a time. And none of the animatronics want to work. And it's been a disaster. Okay? Because they have rejected meritocracy and followed the siren call of equity. The park is falling apart. It doesn't have a vision anymore. And everything that they've announced has destroyed something else. Like they just shut down the Muppet 3D attraction, the Muppet Theater, to make way for something else, which is nobody's really happy about. And got a comment over here, probably from Wiki. Let's see what he's going to say. All right. The emphasis on race, color, sexual preferences solely based in hiring on that, the quality of your products will suffer. Yeah. It has to. Okay. This is why equity will never work. Okay? This is why it will never work. Because equity, basically, if you're saying that everybody has to have equal outcomes, then you have to cut the best people down to the level of the worst. Equity always skews towards the worst or the least capable. That's the way it works. It's kind of like that meme where people are trying to look over the fence, and the first one is equality because the tallest person that doesn't need the boxes is looking over the fence. The second one, which is a little shorter, needs one box to stand to look over the fence. And the third one, which is the shortest, basically standing on two boxes so they can see over the fence. But all of them get to see over the fence. That's equality. Now, the next screen is equity, where everybody's had their legs cut off to be as tall as the shortest guy. And he can't see over the fence. And now these two men, in addition to not having all their leg, can't see over the fence either. That's the very nature of equity. Equity will always wind up with the worst outcome possible. It has nothing to do with personality, has nothing to do with sexuality, has nothing to do with color or skin. It has to do with capability. And equity throws out capability and just basically goes to like the lowest common denominator and forces everybody else into that peg, that hole. And you will never, ever, ever get the best when you go with equity, which is what Disney has done. Now, they bragged about it. Okay, this is not me talking out my butt. They brag about it. Okay? It's in their company. It's in their company, like interior documents. Okay? They brag about it. They have like videos of them bragging about it. And people that are not on board have to do re-education until they spout the company line. And a lot of the Imagineers, because they're white and male, have been sent out the door in favor of people with arbitrary characteristics, whether they're good at their job or not. And Disney, because of that, is falling apart. Okay. Now, so you have a group. Now, that in that video this morning, Clownfish TV, Geeky, and Neon have said that were those Imagineers that Disney, that the intelligentsia at Disney has driven out the door because of their birth. They were born white and male. Nothing to do with their quality, nothing to do with their intelligence, nothing to do with their ingenuity, all to do with arbitrary characteristics. Guess where they went? They live in Orlando, and there's another park in Orlando, Universal Studios. And suddenly, a few years ago, they started announcing a new park. Hold on a second. Equal outcomes is the direct definition of communism. Yep. It is. It's all communism. All communism. Okay. So I've got some videos to show you. Hopefully I don't get my channel struck down. Everybody is showing these clips right now, and this is the first view. Okay, let me show you what these displaced Imagineers are cooking up for Universal Studios Orlando. Check this out. All right. All right. Okay. So, got comments over here. Probably Wookie. He's all commenting right now. Let me see. Discrimination against people based on the fact that they're white males directly in violation of federal discrimination law. Yeah. And they're starting to they are starting to actually yeah, it looks epic. Yeah, I'm going to show you some more specifics. A whole lot. All right. Hola to you, Wrangler. Good to see you, man. Okay. So this is what they've got planned. Okay. I've got a few of these. I don't have all of them, but there's going to be a centralized park that's called Celestial Park. And that's going to be the beginning part. People come through the door and they're going to see this park, and it's got like motels there. It's got eateries. It's got some incredible like fountains and some things like that. No use for me to tell you about it. I can show you. So this is going to be the first thing you see when you come through the door. Okay. Basically, you see a centralized park. It's going to be like their Epcot. It's got motels there. It's got the water park. It's got like a roller coaster. It might be more than one roller coaster. I'm not sure. But you see all these portals, and all these portals go to these other different worlds. It's going to have a How to Train Your Dragon portal to Burke from that movie. It's going to have the Ministry of Magic from Harry Potter. It's going to be another Harry Potter world, part of Harry Potter world. And it's going to have the Dark Universe, which is the one I'm looking at. Really, I'll show that in a little bit. It's also going to have a Super Nintendo world, which is it's probably going to be the biggest draw, I'm pretty sure. Hold on a second. Got comments over here. All right. Got I Like Ike. Hey. And Wrangler. Saying a whole lot. Nice looking park, right? Well, that's going to be just the beginning. That's going to be the beginning part. Okay. Now I have seen I saw. I'm not going to play it because it was a little too long for my comfort. But it was a night view that somebody flew a drone over it, and a lot of this is already built. A lot of what you're seeing is already it's already built. And a lot of these structures are already up, or they're basically fine tuning everything right now and doing tests on it. But how to train your dragon's going to have like a flying dragon ride, which is incredible. The Nintendo Super Nintendo World is also going to have a Donkey Kong World or land off of it, which has a roller coaster, and it looks like flying cart. I'm not sure how they're going to do that, but it's all about the Wookiee, right? There you go. You like that joke every time. You make that joke every time. Anyway, that park's going to destroy Disney. Well, I haven't showed you everything yet. Next one I'm going to show you is the Nintendo World. And most of this is already built. It's already looking good. Anyway, just the beginning. It's park waiting for. It's downloadable content. Well, it's going to open it's in about a month or two. I think it's about 2 months. It's going to start opening up. Anyway, patch in a new theme area. Yeah, there you go. But I'm going to show you the one that I think is probably going to get the most families in. And this is the Super Nintendo World. Let me play that one for you. Okay, that one is probably going to really take a dent out of Disney. I'm pretty sure. But I've seen the overhead aerial shots, and it's really incredible. Where Samus, I'm not sure they have a Metroid in there. I think it's mostly Nintendo. Anyway, holy shit, my daughter and her cousins are definitely gonna want to go. Yeah, right. Okay. Now, all that's good. All that's awesome that we've seen so far. This got that Celestial Park is a very nice resort area. It's got the water park and everything. Roller coasters. It's good. Even if you just hang out there, the carousel and some other stuff. It's going to be fun, okay? And if, you've seen your kids, Nintendo freaks, yeah, that's going to be their mecca for Nintendo freaks. Definitely going to be the mecca. And so if the line is too long, unleash a couple of, Metroids. Okay. Anyway. Okay. Now, what you're seeing is you're seeing what Disney lost, what Disney threw away. Looks like Universal has picked it up. Now, Geeky and Neon, now this is not my imagination. Geeky and Neon have inside information that a lot of these Imagineers that kind of got forced out by the diversity quotas at Disney, which are basically like, that's why it's so stupid. That's why doing stuff on arbitrary characteristics is so stupid. I'm dealing with this at my work right now. I mean, seriously, it's the dumbest thing that you can do. It's asinine to an nth degree, because it doesn't matter what your arbitrary characteristics are. What matters is who you are and what you do and what you're capable of and how hard you work at it. That's all that matters in this world. And to say that you're inferior because of a skin color or because of, a lack of or the fact that you like women, or at least appear to like women or whatever, and or maybe if you keep your sexuality under your hat because it's nobody's damn business at yours, basically, then you can't access like the upper levels. You can't access these programs. It's like Ubisoft right now is just like falling off a cliff. And the main reason is because they have these diversity and equity and inclusion programs all throughout that company that completely, totally have left out white, straight males. And it doesn't matter that most gamers or most people that go into gaming, programming and everything like that are white, straight males. It's part of the culture. Doesn't matter. What matters to them is that they have a checkbox. Okay. And Universal Studios is about to eat their freaking lunch. And that Disney World is the only thing keeping Disney solvent right now. That's their cash cow. That's the biggest money maker they got in that company outside of the, I think they have the cruise ships are a bit of a money maker for them, but for the most part, they need this park to work to keep their head above water. And they have like diversity, equity, and inclusion that bastard right into the fucking ground. Out of their stupidity, out of this dumbass Marxism that has infested that company from top to bottom. Hold on a second. They wanted to say that we're the first to have yada yada whatever builded by a bearded lady, right? Exactly. And this obsession has utterly and completely destroyed that company. Utterly and completely. And lest you think there's nothing for you at Universal, I left what for me is the best for last. Okay. Hold on a second. Lowers morale, productivity, and overall give a shit factor. It does. If nothing you do is going to be good enough because of how you were born, then you're not going to give a damn. It's not going to matter. I already have this every day. I go in there and I don't give a crap because they keep holding me back, or they demoted me twice last year in favor of people with arbitrary characteristics that they preferred. Twice last year. And I'm ready to walk away from the company. And I'm a person that's been there 18 years. And I'm there every time the doors open. And yet that matters nothing to them because I don't have the arbitrary characteristics. See how stupid that is? That is dumb. You lose the best people out of your company when you do that. And it's not racism, it's not sexism, it's not whatever ism you want to attach to it. It's just the way it works. It's the way it works. Has nothing to do with those isms and everything to do with mechanically how equity works. Is it forces you to the least common denominator, the least a person with the least amount of ability. Because if you want equal outcomes, everybody's got to have the same outcome as that person at the bottom, the least that has the least ability. And so you cripple everybody else. You cut their legs off, literally, for the sake of this one person. So if you bring somebody through the door because they decided that they're going to be a woman and they have no ability or have no talent for the job, then everybody else, so they don't look bad, has to be neutered and nerfed so that person doesn't look bad. And then, because you need somebody in the upper echelon that has that rare characteristic, they get promoted, even though they're horrible at their job. This happened in comics. There was a trans-identifying male that got all the jobs. Mags Visaggio is his name. Brian Visaggio used to be his name. He went with Mags. He got every job in the industry, and people quit and walked away in droves. And the quality in that industry went psst, because he can't wade his way out of a wet paper bag. He's already got, they even made a show out of one of his comics. And it's awful. It didn't last but about 3 episodes because it's bad. It's really, really bad. But anyway, they even gave him a damn TV show. And Sucker bragged about having over 1,000 pages of comics published in 1 year. And it's like, damn, no wonder the comic book industry's straight in the toilet. Hold on a second. It's exactly what it was designed to do. It's an erosion of overall culture. Yep. Exactly. The highest common denominator is to replace the lowest common denominator. Exactly. Now, what I'm about to show you is what's the reason why Disney is going down, and they're going down hard. You want to talk about Imagineers? You want to talk about imagination and engineering mixing together? Hey, watch this.
I am Dr. Victoria Frankenstein. Together, we will finish what my great-grandfather started. Show them.
Monsters Unchained has the most technologically advanced animated figures that have ever been built in the attraction.
These are monsters for the next generation of fans. We wanted to make sure that we kept everything that was familiar, kept everything that was the essence of these monsters. But we wanted to take it to another level. These monsters are scary.
These animated figures are moving faster than any figures we have built, and we have so many of them. We have 14 animated figures across this ride floor.
And they are visceral, they are powerful, they are intense, and from a technical standpoint, they exceed beyond everyone's wildest expectations for what an animated figure can do.
Okay. All right. So, and what you saw there is an actual natural diversity. Okay. You had the white guy who's the engineer, and you had the black guy who's like over this part, and there's a woman over this part, and it's like, if they're good at they must be good at their job. Look at the results. If you go for meritocracy, you will get diversity. Diversity is all across all these arbitrary characteristics. If you go for meritocracy, you will get diversity. You dumb ass pieces of shit. Okay. Sorry. Don't mean to be cussing so much today, but it's on my heart a lot today, these days. Holy shit. Stick a fork in Disney. Yeah. I mean, and that whole entire, there's another thing that they didn't show in that, and there's a flaming windmill that does flames up every single day, and then there's like a whole entire skit that goes along with it that's supposed to happen every day, and I think it's like Frankenstein, villagers burning down the mill or something, but it's going to happen every day, and I've seen the flaming windmill, and it looks like it's on fire. It literally looks like it's on fire. I think it has like gas jets in it or something like that. But it's like the stones there, and it has a tavern. I've seen the video of the tavern, and it's got you go into that, you're going to feel like you're in a Eastern European country with a castle. And it just looks awesome. And it's going to be available year round, but they're also going to have a really cool things planned for Halloween. And Universal Monsters has always been a soft spot in my heart for Universal Monsters. And so that's going to be my mecca. So I'm going to go down there, and Harry Potter. I love Harry Potter, and that Ministry of Magic really looks good. It really looks very elaborate and really incredible. I always meant to visit the Harry Potter land, which is already huge, and it's already one of the largest attractions in the world. And that's across the city from Disney World. And Disney World has become a junk drawer. According to people who love Disney, the pixie dusters, the people who are like Disney all the way to the wall. And I was a Disney kid, man. I grew up with Disney. I watched it every Sunday night. Me and my brother were talking about this. Walt Disney Presents Uncle Walt. Every Sunday night, we'd watch something from Disney. And I love that Disney stuff. I was a Disney kid, man. But where they are now, I cannot follow. What they've done to themselves, I can't be a part of that. And there's a lot of people that feel that way. And when you go to, and you see the dress shop in Fantasyland, I think it is, the dress shop in Fantasyland, and the person that's letting these little girls through the door, it's a chubby guy with a mustache and wearing a dress. That's in their main park. I'm sorry, they have lost the plot. And their pricing is all over across the board, and they've been gouging people, and this is setting right across the city from them. And all those Imagineers that kicked out the door found a home, and they are making anything as glorious as Disneyland has ever had, or Disney World has ever had, and they're making it right across the street. There's actually adjacent property to Disney World, and it's practically across the street. And if you see these night views of everything lit up, I mean, all they're doing is fine tuning right now. They're just doing final steps, and this thing's going to be open in May. Hold on a second. Yeah. There you go. They picked up former Disney people. They picked up these Imagineers. They got demoted and discouraged, and out and out laid off in favor of diversity quotas. And they went out, and Universal's like, hey, you need a job? I mean, I saw after somebody that said that it was like about 180 something hour years of ability and engineering at Disney walked out the door in the last decade. And where did it go? They live in Orlando, so there's only one other game in town. Where else are they going to go? This is very expensive now. Yep, very expensive. And I don't know. I don't know how comparable or Orlando Universal Studios is. Universal Studios Orlando is. I don't know, but I can tell you this: it looks like a way more bang for your buck to me. And this is not me trying to gild the lily about Universal Studios, even though, you know, I definitely want to encourage any kind of meritocracy, any kind of people trying to do the best that they can do, any kind of like excellence in this world. We're going to have to like post it and boost it and encourage it everywhere we see it, because China, I believe China's behind all of this crap, and they have basically neutered great swaths of American culture with this junk. And meanwhile, over in China, they do not push equity. In China, they do not push gender identity. In China, they keep all this stuff out. And yet all the money seems to lead back to China with all these diversity programs. They are destroying America, the fabric of America, which is based on meritocracy. The way we got to be the greatest country in the world was because we were a pure meritocracy. You could come from any country in the world and make it to these shores, you know, past the Statue of Liberty, through Ellis Island, right into the culture. And if you worked hard enough, you can make something of yourself. That was the promise of America, meritocracy. Work hard enough, be good enough at your job, and be good at and do create excellence, and you'll be noticed, and you'll be encouraged, and you will make it in this world. And they have destroyed that over the course of about 4 or 5 decades. They've destroyed it. And we've got to get it back. And so when I see stuff like that where people have like said, I don't care if we have your check box on our diversity, you know, a diversity box somewhere. I don't care. Are you good at your job? If you're good at your job, welcome in. You know, here's what we have to create. You know, work your magic. And that's what's happened. And ultimately, Universal's going to murder Disney, but Disney is a suicide. It's essentially a suicide. It's basically a universal assisted suicide. They have done this to themselves. That cancer got in, and it's metastasized all over that company. And I don't know if they can ever get it back. They've got to fire a lot of people and rehire a lot of people who have already found other jobs and no longer trust them, who gave their heart, soul. Disney was a culture. Disney was a religion for these people. And then they got told, because you were born a white male who likes women, we no longer want you. Has nothing to do with the quality of your work, has nothing to do with what you can accomplish, has nothing to do with your brain, has nothing to do with your experience, has nothing to do with your skill, has to do with the fact that you were born the way you were born. See how stupid that is? See how dumb and bullshit that is? And that's all over our culture right now. Look at freaking California. 3 lesbians wound up as fire chiefs the top 3 positions in LA's fire department. And you got Miss Tubby Girl, who's over diversity. And, well, what happens if my husband is like caught in the fire? How are you going to carry him out? Well, if I got to carry him out, he got himself in the wrong place. That's not meritocracy. That's not meritocracy. And look at the place is still burning. It's still freaking burning. It's burning down. DEI is burning the whole entire place down. We can't afford it anymore. And Universal is about to put Disney in the ground because Disney World is the last cash cow that company's got. And they're about to get their butt kicked over the summer. It's going to be beautiful and or horrific, depending on your side. Anyway, that place might just remind me doing a family road trip to Florida. Well, you're not the heat's not going to bother you, but the humidity might. It might just anyway. It's actually quite tragic. Disney used to be a key piece of American culture. I do not enjoy their demise. I do not either. This is not out of. I don't have any schadenfreude here. I do not wish them ill. But they have pushed this stuff. They have been the biggest proponent of this stuff. And they have destroyed great swaths of American culture with this stuff. I mean, look at what they're over. ESPN. What happened to that? You know, you can't even watch an ESPN show without getting this junk shoved down your throat. Okay? Marvel. They got a hold of Marvel. They got a hold of Star Wars. Enough said. Enough said. You know? And Pixar. They got a hold of Pixar. And until that Inside Out, which they tried to destroy, but somebody, came to their senses. And they got another one coming out in a couple months from Pixar. And it doesn't look good. Just doesn't look good. And what are they doing now? They're rehashing everything. That Mufasa was an abomination. They don't know where the culture is. They're just... they like this once upon a time. Let's make Moana 2. It was supposed to be a television program. I know. Let's make it into a movie and shove it into theaters. They'll buy it. They'll eat it. No actual intelligence there. Nobody's thinking. Nobody's at the wheel. And they're not creating. They're rehashing. They're recycling. And everything's a sequel. Everything's old thing that they're polishing up and polishing the turd and making it new again. And there's no innovation. You know why that? You know why the innovation's gone away? Because the innovation has gone over to these other animation companies. Lasseter is the head of another animation studio. The guy that built Pixar got kicked out the door by Me Too because he liked to hug people too much. He liked to hug everybody he met. And these women, Me Too'd him. And they kicked him out. And he's gone to another, I think he's over Skydance Animation, something like that. I can't remember which one he's over, but he's over another animation studio. The ones that I don't think they made Despicable Me. I think he's over that animation studio. But he's about to come up with some stuff, that looks like old Pixar. They've done this to themselves. I'm not happy to say that. I'm not happy. But I don't know how they're going to compete with this. I don't know how they're going to compete with this. All right. Meritocracy or not, Southern California has always been a tinderbox. It was just another matter of time for the right conditions were created. Yep. But the fact that they wouldn't clean out brush their forests, get the underbrush out of their forests, and use the water that's coming down from the north, probably didn't help. I'm pretty sure that didn't help. Anyway, it's a sad thing to see happen to a nice, great piece of American culture. Yeah, at a once great piece of American culture. Absolutely. Disney is for everybody. Yeah. I'm sure it is. They went elsewhere and replaced with special interest activists. Yeah. Independence and incompetence and diversity. I think he mean diversity. Anyway. But you know what? I think people will come back. I think people will if they change things around and they change directions. I think Lucasfilm is dead. I don't think Star Wars is coming back. They can't get rid of KK. Whatever she's got, they can't get rid of her. And as long as she's there, they don't have a snowball's chance in hell. Pixar, they got rid of the woman who has been pushing all this woke stuff into Pixar stuff. They finally got rid of her. I don't know who took her place, though. But we'll see how they're going to go. But they could recover. The Disney parks are in shambles right now. And if they ever get anybody in there, they had a guy that Pelty, that group that tried to take it back over last year. They tried to get ahead on the board. They had a guy that could probably have saved the parks, but they chose to not vote with them. So that might have been the last chance they had. I don't know. But either way, this America's got to go back to meritocracy. It's got to go back to meritocracy. I mean, we got too many wolves at the door. We've got too many people wanting to eat our lunch. China is everywhere around us, all throughout South America. Why do you think these people are refusing to take people back? All of them have ties to China. They're all socialists and communists. Almost all of South America has been taken over by socialism and communism pushed by China. Our Panama Canal is almost entirely controlled by China, which is why Trump's trying to take it back. It's all around us. They're at our door. I mean, if it's not China, it's the WEF. And they've been in control of Canada, and that's right across the border from us up north. We're surrounded by all this junk. It's diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it just seems like a minor thing, but it's the only thing. Meritocracy is what makes America work. And if we don't get back to it, we're going to be Disney, and China is going to be Universal Studios, and they are going to wipe us off the face of the planet. We're going to lose everything. We're that close to it. Anyway. So, okay, everybody, thank you for coming to my little TED Talk, as Frost likes to say. Frost Comics like to say. I hope I didn't ramble too much. I know I got a little profane tonight, but I'm dealing with this stuff in my life right now. And it's the most frustrating, god-awful, dehumanizing thing that anyone's ever have to deal with. And I hope you don't have to deal with it in your companies or your places of work, because there's no way forward if this is in your company. There's no way for anybody to succeed, And so fingers crossed we can get out of this. Fingers crossed that what's going on at Universal Studios will spread and we'll get back to meritocracy again. Back to the way things used to be. And fingers crossed. Anyway, Wookie Fever says, have a good night. Bunny in chat, have a good night, man. Have a good night, everybody, from Wrangler, and God bless. And we'll talk to you next time, everybody. Going to have a new show this Thursday called Character Autopsy, and working on thumbnails and stuff now. And look for a poll later on this week to let you guys choose the character that I'm going to autopsy. And we'll see you then. Till then, follow the white rabbit, everybody. And bye.
Thank you.